moment, I am spending most of my time just writing an essay. Not most of my time, well, good part of my time. Just writing an essay on Freud and his contributions on the unconscious. I think I found a little pot of gold in the middle of this, so I'll just make a quick video on what I found. So if you imagine there is a distinct line inside of you, and here is what we call consciousness. Okay, and consciousness is everything you are aware of, so everything that you know exists in your mind. There's also, a little subsection called pre-consciousness, so everything that isn't currently in your mind, but if you think about it and dig for it, it'll eventually come. And then there is the unconscious. Yeah. So the unconscious deals with the parts that you do not want to look at, or the parts you do not know exist. Okay, you don't know that they exist inside of yourself. In fact, you don't know that you don't know they exist. I hope you follow me there. And really, we try to ignore this. We want to run away from stuff that we don't know. We don't understand it, and we try and hide away, and we try and avoid it. And I think this is what we do as men. When we have interaction here, interaction between the conscious and unconscious, when things inside you start to bubble up, various feelings come across. So what we experience on the inside, let's just change that color to make it pretty. So on the inside, we feel repulsion. Oops, excuse me. And from the outside, an observer can see resistance. There. So this is a really useful, really useful observation for us. When on the inside we feel this feeling like, God, I don't want to get involved in this. And from the outside, an observer might be able to say, mate, you're trying to run away from something, you're trying to avoid looking at something, and I'm trying to show you what it is. This is especially true in certain types of therapy, which I am somewhat experienced in. There are two opposing forces that interact with this level here. I mean, this is like an energy thing. It's like a split in your own mind. Okay, so energy, as in when two things interact, there's a threshold between the two, and the energy, like the interaction between the two, is energy. That's what I mean. So there's a force pushing down here. Okay, and then there's another one coming up here. First, I'll talk about this one. So what's this force? What contributes to it? This is the strength of your ego and your superego, which in other words means how you see yourself and how you see your ideal self, how you idealize yourself. So your identity keeps pushing this part down, and really it means that you know who you are and you try and keep true to yourself, which is good, except for when we encounter this other force here, this force here, and I'll make it a bit bigger than that red arrow to show that it's a lot more powerful. This force here, and this is the one I'm interested in working with. So if you try and push it down with your identity of who you are, you push down, because this is stronger, it'll still find little tiny ways of getting into your conscious mind. In other words, your repressed emotions and what you're trying to run away from will still come into your life and control you in unconscious ways. Okay, but really, let's have a look at this thing. What is this thing here? Well, it's repressed pain or ideas or maybe some other emotions. But really, it also goes hand in hand with a few other things as well. It is your intuition. Okay, there is compassion. And I'll tell you one thing, because ultimately you have very little say on who you actually are. You have impulses inside of you that can act, somewhat unconsciously. We can decide who we are, but the fabric of who we are, the texture, the deep texture inside of us, that really works outside our realm. So what I'm going to propose is that the center for growth lies inside you. I believe that you change organically. You go through different seasons and cycles in life. And the more you accept this and let it come into your conscious mind, and when appropriate, just let this go for a second on your own. When you're on your own, just let this go for a second. Just let it flood in. All this stuff just flood into you. It will be difficult because all this stuff will come into it as well. But once you know how to handle that, when it pushes through into your consciousness and you have the tools to handle it, that's when you take full control. Freud said that it was a constant upward pressure, into the consciousness, and we try to run away from it because we try to hold on too much of what we know, how we know the world. But change comes from the unconscious, from my experience. Wanted to say one more thing. Oh yes, how do we just let this go for a little bit? Not suppress it, just let it go. Just take this arrow away for a little while. Well, being alone is the best way. Meditation helps a lot because meditation turns off certain aspects of yourself and lets this part come up. A lot of time when you begin meditating, these things bubble up to the surface first, but after a while, after you get used to it, these things come up as well. Sensory deprivations work as well. So the most simplest type of this is being in a dark room, just completely dark room, and just dropping down to whatever comes up. Another one is being in a room with no stimulus, just absolutely none. I mean, think about what would happen if you were in a room with white walls, no windows, no doors, just yourself. What would happen? What would come up for you? That's the challenge that I'm trying to make with all this work that I'm doing here. So, hope you have a good day. And, just brew on this from a little gift from Freud that I just conjured up here. Alright, have a good day.